How's it going, everybody? So, yesterday we talked about hell and what it really is, but we didn't discuss what goes on there, such as the story of Lazarus, where he was in a place of paradise overlooking a gulf where people were burning, I guess, right? Um, now, there's two crowds that look at this story in different ways. Some think it's literal, some think that it is not literal and that it's just a story. I'm not convinced either way because I don't know. I just don't know. I won't know till I die, right? Or if Jesus comes back, then I guess I won't care to know. But it's interesting when that First Thessalonians 4:14 says that the dead sleep. So how is Lazarus conscious if it says the dead sleep? And the Bible doesn't contradict itself. So let's talk about some other verses that go along with this. So in Matthew 13:34, it says, whenever Jesus spoke to the people, he spoke to them in a parable. And without a parable, he did not speak to them. So you could look up the definition of a parable, and it says something like a story that is not true to and bring enlightenment in a certain meaning, right? Um, and let's get into some other things that the Bible says, such as 1 Peter brings some insight as to what goes on down there. 1 Peter 3:19 through 20 says, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, by which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while in the ark was preparing within few, that is, 8 souls saved by water. So this verse here is saying he went and preached to spirits that were disobedient. Now, 2 Peter 2:4 confirms this to be angels that are in chains down there, in prison, as this verse says. And it says they were disobedient. The only people that had communion with God back in those days were angels and Noah. So the heathens that didn't, it's not talking about the heathens because they weren't disobedient. They were never ordered to do anything. So you could either think the story of Lazarus is a true story, and you have to ignore 2 Thessalonians where it says that we sleep, and you have to look at that verse right there and think that everybody in Noah's day was disobedient to God, which in a way they were. I kind of understand that. And you have to look at Matthew 13:34 where it says, whenever he spoke to the multitude, he spoke to them in a parable, and in a parable he did not speak to them. And it's a good assumption to assume that every parable Jesus spoke is a true story. That's a good assumption. So, it's interesting that it doesn't mention the dead being asleep until the New Testament. I think, anyways. It might say it in the Old, but I can't find it, and I've been looking, and I can't find it. Okay. David said, if I make my bed in hell, you are there. So, was Lazarus conscious because it was before the resurrection? That's possible. Is it just a story, just a parable? We don't know, okay? But we have one or two things going on in hell right now, okay? Either we are asleep and not conscious, or we are conscious in paradise awaiting our resurrection, while looking over and watching people burn and be in torment, which doesn't sound like a paradise to me. I wouldn't want to see that type of thing, which is why so many people assume it a parable when Jesus says he always spoke in parables. So this is an area where the Bible is not 100% clear. The book of Enoch gives some more insight to this, but we're not reading from that book right now. We're reading what the Bible says and just that. So I gave you guys the verses that go with this. If you want to pray about it and come to, I don't know, but hope you guys like this video. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. See you guys next time.